Welcome to the We Richly podcast, where inspiration meets action and dreams become plans. I'm Mole from We Richly, and today we're diving into the mindset shifts that can transform your journey to success. This is your moment to focus, to believe, and to take control of your story. Success is often painted as this perfectly straight path to the top. But here's something wild. Studies show that 92% of New Year's resolutions fail, and it's not because people don't want success badly enough. That's such a striking statistic, and it really challenges our assumptions about what it takes to achieve our goals. You know what's fascinating? When we look at highly successful people like Steve Jobs, their paths were anything but straight. Jobs actually credited a calligraphy class he took after dropping out of college for revolutionizing computer typography. Well, that's interesting because it suggests that success often comes from unexpected places. How do you think that applies to everyday people trying to achieve their goals? Here's the thing. Research from the University of Scranton shows that people who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them. But, and this is crucial, it's not just about writing them down. It's about creating what I call a success ecosystem. Can you break down what you mean by a success ecosystem? So think of it like this. Success has three key components that work together. First, there's vision clarity, writing down specific measurable goals. Second, there's daily habits. Studies show it takes about 66 days to form a new habit, not the 21 days we often hear about. And third, there's strategic learning. That's fascinating about the 66 days. It really shows how we often underestimate what it takes to create lasting change. And you know what's even more interesting? The Harvard Business Review found that people who follow a structured approach to goal setting are 30% more likely to achieve their objectives than those who just wing it. Well, that certainly challenges the romantic notion of just following your passion and hoping for the best. Exactly. And speaking of passion, let's talk about what Jobs meant when he said, "The only way to do great work is to love what you do." It's not about waiting for passion to strike, it's about developing it through mastery. That reminds me of research from psychologist Angela Duckworth about grit being a better predictor of success than natural talent. You're absolutely right. And here's something mind-blowing. Duckworth's studies showed that grit was twice as important as IQ in predicting success. It's not about being the smartest person in the room, it's about being the most persistent. So how do we actually build that kind of persistence in practical terms? Well, research from MIT suggests that the key is breaking down large goals into what they call micro wins. Achievements so small, they're almost impossible to fail at. For example, instead of saying, "I'll write a book," you commit to writing 50 words daily. That makes so much sense because it taps into the psychology of momentum and small wins. And here's where it gets really interesting. Studies in neuroplasticity show that these small, consistent actions actually rewire our brains. Every time we follow through on a micro commitment, we strengthen our success mindset. That's such a powerful perspective shift from thinking we need to make these huge, dramatic changes. Let me share something that really drives this home. A study of successful entrepreneurs found that 88% of them attributed their success not to big, bold moves, but to small, consistent actions taken over time. Well, that certainly challenges the media narrative of overnight success stories. And you know what's fascinating about those overnight success stories? When researchers actually analyzed them, they found that it took an average of 10.5 years for most overnight successes to achieve their breakthrough moment. That really puts things in perspective for anyone feeling like they're not moving fast enough. Here's what I suggest to our listeners. Start with what behavioral scientists call a minimum viable action. Choose one small step that moves you toward your goal, something so simple you can't talk yourself out of it. That's such practical advice, and it brings everything we've discussed full circle. And remember this final statistic. People who share their goals with a friend and send weekly updates are 76% more likely to achieve them. Success isn't just about individual effort, it's about creating the right environment and support system for growth. Well, that's certainly given our listeners plenty to think about and act on. Indeed, it has. And on that note, we'll wrap up today's episode of We Richly podcast. Remember, success isn't about perfect paths, it's about persistent progress.